From getting into accidents to getting hacked, it might not be great to jump into this driverless car business. While there are many reasons to dream of a world where you never have to drive again, what do you give up in the process? Today I'm looking at all the dangers of autonomous driving. Starting in a pretty obvious place, you have to think about the accidents. Road accidents are already one of the leading causes of death in the world. Statistically, driving is a pretty risky business. Clearly, most road accidents today are caused by human error. But what impact would autonomous driving have on the stats? I think you have an idea of the answer to that because self-driving accidents have made the rounds in the media lately. In June of last year, companies exploring this technology reported 400 accidents in the 11 months before. The company leading the charge on full self-driving, Tesla, was involved in most of those accidents. With 273 crashes caused by their autopilot system, they made over half the total. Oh, and this is just the United States we're talking about. Now, their National Highway Traffic Safety Administration warns us not to blame one company over another through just this stat. You have to compare the number of crashes against the number of those cars on the road. And Teslas do happen to be all the rage right now. So this maybe isn't Tesla's fault by itself, but this sure raises questions about the safety risks of self-driving. Now, it's worth exploring the reasons why autonomous driving tends to cause accidents. And one of the main reasons is the way our roads are designed.
Зайка, 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 зайка. Солнышко, солнышко, солнышко. Бля. Вот это я записал какой-то.
Ебать, блядь.
Пиздец.
Most cities in the world are pretty old. There wasn't much urban engineering involved. The cities you see today have grown organically through changing trends and cultural factors. In the past century or two, urban planning became a thing, and cities tried to impose some kind of order on that growth. The point I'm getting at is that at the time the design of our cities was set in stone, autonomous driving was just a pipe dream. Think about it. The Model T entered production in 1908. We haven't even had cars for a super long time. Who could have thought that the cars would be driving themselves just over a century later? Certainly not the people who set out to map our modern cities and highways. One advantage that humans will always have over AI is adaptability. Whether you're driving on a highway in California or one in China, you can look at the signs and the other cars and know what to do. But today's AI is founded on machine learning. Tesla, for instance, is trying to develop their autopilot system by gathering data from Teslas on the road in the US. Eventually, at some point, Teslas will have a good enough understanding of American highways to be reliable on their own. What about the rest of the world, though? And that isn't the only problem with trusting our lives to machine learning-based AIs. What if things change? I'm going to take an example we've all experienced at some point. Imagine you're navigating with Google Maps, and suddenly there's a problem on your route. Maybe you noticed a massive traffic jam emerging from the way you were supposed to go. Or a bunch of police cars and ambulances might happen to be rushing the same way you were going. The Maps app would eventually throw up a warning about whatever happened. Sometimes, though, you might already be in the thick of it by the time it happens. Luckily, you're a human. If you notice the clues, like the ones I mentioned before, you'd know to change course. But can the AI driving your car do that? Autonomous driving systems are built on patterns. They take it for granted that everyone on the road is going to be driving in a certain way, and there are certain events that it wouldn't expect to see on the road. That could be the case in the world where every car is self-driving. That's not the world we live in, though. Now, it might sound like I'm making a big deal of your autopilot locking you into a traffic jam. Two things about that, though. One, your risk of getting into an accident is higher when you're in a jam. Secondly, there are definitely worse things that can happen. Even if you survive an accident, though, you may still be in trouble. If you thought going to court was annoying before, it'll be worse. There have been a couple of cases where people involved in an accident with autonomous driving have gone to court, and they've tried to drag the manufacturers of the cars into the situation with them. In your average accident, it's easy to lay the blame. Either all the parties involved made an honest mistake or the driver wasn't doing enough to pay attention. There are, of course, DUI cases too, but it gets especially tricky when autonomous driving is in the picture. If a car's self-driving capability causes an accident, the company that made the car should be to blame. The problem, though, is that car manufacturers can afford way better lawyers than their customers can. An example of this came in 2018 when a self-driving Uber car hit a pedestrian crossing the road. There was a driver on board, but Uber did find itself in court over this incident. The company was able to get off scot-free, though, because the driver happened to be looking at her phone at that precise moment. I don't think she was completely blameless in this situation. Yet, at the same time, you'd think that detecting humans would be one of the first things autonomous driving systems would get right. But let's go completely off the deep end now. What is the ultimate worst-case scenario for self-driving cars? Well, you could get hacked on the road. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Well, it isn't. Consider the fact that it isn't particularly difficult to hack the computer systems in today's cars. A hacker could absolutely stop your engine and mess with your car's controls even if it didn't have self-driving capabilities. Things get way worse when you equip a car with a self-driving system, though. Any device with such sophisticated software is going to need bugs and patches from time to time. In order to get software updates, those cars will have to be connected to the internet. As I hope we all understand at this point, if you expose anything to the internet, there's a risk of getting hacked. Now, a hacker can do serious damage to your life if they get into your phone or computer. But if a hacker could take control of your car, they could end your life. Not just yours either, but the lives of others around you too. And it can't be that hard either. 19-year-old David Colombo managed to discover a vulnerability in Tesla's software.
That got me into coding, also got me into those Teslas, because I only wanted to understand how the technology they one car and try to get access to that one car using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Or you take a look at the other side, because all of those access on the back-end side of things, you could be able to possibly remotely control multiple cars around the world.
He was able to hack into 25 Teslas by exploiting the bug. And guess what? We only know about it because he tweeted about it. Now, if you're a Tesla owner, I don't mean to cause a panic. After all, companies have known for a while that these things happen. There's a reason why security patches are a thing. Many smartphone companies will stop updating the operating system of older models, but continue to issue security patches. At the same time, the used market is full of smartphones that have been abandoned entirely. But with autonomous driving, we're in a new technological frontier. As much research as manufacturers put into ensuring the safety of their systems, holes will be found. These systems have a long way to go to becoming mature enough to be remotely safe from hacks. And even then, you'll never be sure. Those are just some of the reasons why autonomous driving is dangerous.